Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Stranger Things 3, Chapter 5, The Flayed. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. This one had all slush puppies, or what did it say on the machine? I feel like everywhere I go has a different name for these bloody things.
Yeah, slush something or other usually.
Ice Blast.
Yeah.
Ice, there's been various ice things.
Ice Blast is the Tango one.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's unique to that brand.
Alright, okay.
Slush Puppies is the one I was most common with for a long time.
Yeah, I think the machine this just said slushies.
Probably. That's probably the generic name for them, right?
Probably. I don't know why I'm starting with that. I think it's just because I saw someone just tweet they got a slushie just purely because of Alexei and Stranger Things. Which, it's happened to me like 3 times this week where someone will reference an episode and it just so happens to be the episode that I just watched last.
You're lucky.
Why?
Well, you know how your phone sometimes it'll give you like recommended news stories?
Sure.
Well, it popped up with one that wasn't a spoiler in itself, but it's given me an indication of
where
something that may or may not happen.
Okay, well, do I know?
No, I was, but I was quite annoyed because I didn't even go looking for it. Literally, notification on my phone. Have a look at that. Cheers for that, phone.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have, a day per episode or anything like that. I suppose it has been 8 days by now.
But I mean, either way, it was annoying. I didn't go looking for it. Wasn't on a news site. Wasn't even on Twitter. Just my phone just decided, hey, you need to know this.
Yeah, no, give people time to watch things. I just, yeah. And for the record, the spoiler lift on Endgame, was like the Monday. It was like 2 Mondays after it came out. No, that's not enough time.
It was like 10 days or something like that.
So, who will we start with this episode?
Not slushies, apparently.
Well, we started with slushies, but I mean, to get to the meat of it, the plot, I guess we'll start with Hopper and Joyce, because they're not the first characters we see, but they get a lot of the time before the title sequence, because it was a longer scene. There was 2 scenes, but it was a longer period before the title music played. And they're checking out one of these residencies they've been looking into, that's been bought up by this Russian corporation or whoever.
Yeah. And immediately we see the Lynx van outside, so we know immediately they're in the right place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we see that, and we know. Okay, all right, we're getting to some meat here, and they're searching through the house. Joyce, can tell there's something. Under the bed there's a door, there's noise coming from it, whatever. And they lift it up the bed. It's one of those beds that fold up into the wall, as you do. And they go down and they find 2 Russian scientists who are tinkering away at things. And this is when the biker arrives upstairs, and what really stood out to me here was how much they were given his footsteps in the sound mix, because
I know
when Joyce and Hopper were going up around upstairs, you'd barely hear their footsteps. It was just normal, ambience.
Don't get me wrong, he's wearing some big heavy boots, but Jesus Christ, they were like dinosaur footsteps.
No, they were treating him like the Terminator. That's what this scene felt like. He was the Terminator in this scene, and he comes down with a machine gun and he ends up fighting Hopper.
There's one of my favorite moments from the episode actually is because Hopper gets the drop on him, has the gun to his head, and he's like, "You're not gonna shoot me, you're a cop." And he's like, "Yeah, try me." He's like, "I'll count to 3," and he moves out of the way on 3, but he does shoot.
He does shoot. I want to actually say something. I'm glad you brought that up, because he almost quoted a movie there. Because I actually thought he was going to say something slightly different, because he says, "You won't shoot me." And he's like, "I'm a cop." He's like, "Yeah," and so the line from Die Hard, which wasn't out yet. I'm not saying he was quoting the movie, but it could have been an intentional reference. The line from Die Hard is at one point one of the Germans says to him, "There are rules for policemen," right? That's a line from Die Hard. Yes. I always remember it sticking out. Whereas he just changes it around. He says, "No, policemen have rules." I mean, it was almost the same line when he said, "You're a cop," or "I'm a cop." I was like, "Oh, he's going to, he's going to say it," but he didn't. But it was so close. Like, I wonder if that was I wonder if they wrote it down the Die Hard way and went, "Oh no, that's actually the line from Die Hard."
We should probably change that.
Yeah, change that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great, accepted it. And I wonder if it was almost like, no, that wasn't out yet. Even though I don't think they would have been implying the characters quoting the movie, but I wonder if that was the reason for it. Like they said, Oh, we don't want to reference a movie that didn't exist yet.
Maybe.
I could see the logic for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they ever have done.
Reference the movie that hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Nothing springing to
I
mind.
don't distinctly remember any, but I mean, could easily have been missed.
I mean, I don't mind them referencing something as long as the character themselves isn't.
Yeah, if the character's referencing it, then it's just a mistake. But
yeah,
it's fine just to share a line of dialogue.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. The funny moment I liked in this scene though was Joyce. Like the guns are away, and the Hopper's revolver lands next to her, and she's like, Jim, and throws the gun, and it goes flying past Hopper and lands next to the Russian Terminator.
I love the follow up to this joke on the way out when Hopper throws her the car keys and she just completely drops them. I thought, so she's terrible in both directions.
Yeah, so they run out and they drop the bed down and put like a cabinet on the bed so he can't just open it easily. So then just to give them enough time to get the truck and get out of there.
And they take the scientist with them for collateral and information.
Yeah, we find out later his name's Alexei. That's who they grabbed.
Yes.
But the other Terminator.
Insists on calling him Smirnoff.
He does, yes. The other Terminator-esque thing here for me was as they're driving away, the bikers came out of the thing, and he just unloads his machine gun as he's walking. He continues walking as he's unloading his machine gun into the back of the truck, and it just felt very Terminator again.
And not just walking, limping a little bit because he got a good whack at the ankle.
Yeah, and if you actually recall, that happens in Terminator. I think it happens in Terminator 1 and 2, where, he gets damaged and he's sort of limping a bit, but he's still a machine, so he's,
Yeah. No,
so
it did feel intentional.
It feels like a very intentional Terminator, sort of just playing the visuals, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So they end up in the woods. The truck's, broke down, and
probably because of Joyce's terrible driving.
Probably Joyce is trying to talk to the Russian, and my favorite part of the scene, actually, outside of maybe the big thing at the end of the scene, which is really funny, is she's like, okay, I've confirmed some things, and he's like, what have you confirmed with them, Joyce? Well, because we already knew there was Russians involved, we already knew they'd bought up these properties. It's like, yes, and we thought we knew that, and I confirmed them. You're welcome.
Yeah, now we know that.
Of course, he's trying to fix the truck, and it catches on fire. Alexei's actually being helpful and saying, stop, go away. Joyce is in the truck, literally trying to start the car.
Yep. She just gets out before it blows up.
Yeah, which she likes to throw back at his face later, because they're going through the woods. They're heading, which turns out to be bombing. The crazy reporter who thought the Russians were coming, which we've been waiting for all season. Because as soon as the Russians were involved, it's like, yeah, he's right. He's finally right.
Yeah, because they go into Illinois, and I only remember that because Elle sees them, and hears that with a really stylish transition into that. Actually,
there was a really nice transition. It was because for a second you're like, what's happening? Why is the world around Hopper disappearing?
Hopper, and then Alexei turns to smoke, and you're like, what's going on? What was wrong with him? And then everything else starts fading. It goes to black, and you go, oh.
Do you know what I really like about this? I like that nothing weird's actually happening. They've just never transitioned to 11 via this way before, where it's just we're in the scene normally, and then it transitions to her spying on it.
We've always seen it from her perspective first, and her following someone immediately. So this was pretty unique, but I liked it.
It was basically just a really fancy version of fading to a new scene. That's basically what it was.
It was, but it was real nice.
Yeah, no, it was. And of course, at one point, Alexei, they think he's running away. This is after some more lovers bickering, where Hopper refers to Alexei because she keeps talking to him as her new boyfriend. He's like, oh, because everyone I talk to is my new boyfriend, Hopper. That's how it works.
He's a Russian version of the teacher.
But he's actually running because he thinks he sees something, and they get to a 7-Eleven. And but I read something actually this week. Apparently, there's over 170 partnerships for this season in Stranger Things, for all the products and things that they've got.
I buy it
because they're all real. Because even later on, there's a vending machine, and we see Kit Kat, Skittles, Reese's Pieces. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
There is something fun with doing a period piece though, because they get to use their old logos again. Because they have to actually make we need the old Skittles, logo.
It's a little bit more effort for the companies involved.
Yeah.
To give them, okay, you need the older stuff rather than just do whatever you want. Yeah,
but there is an incentive though.
Oh, of course.
Because there's a natural thing that comes with this idea that, oh look, our product's been around all this time. It gives it this feeling of prestige that it's been around all these decades. Same with them showing up in a future like setting, and they're like, oh, see, we're still going to be here in 500 years.
Yeah, I feel like Coca-Cola always slaps the year on around Christmas time.
They do, yeah.
Like the Christmas adverts, I can picture always at the end. It's like 18 something. It's like late 1800s, isn't it?
I feel like the bottle always has it on it though.
I mean, it might do. I haven't got
Yeah, you
one
just don't really
anywhere,
think about it.
but I can picture it more in the Christmas adverts.
Yeah, but I think that's the point. I think that's why they like opting into this kind of stuff outside of the product placement, which I'm sure they're still paying for. But
which they always like in pretty much anything that's high profile.
Yeah, but no. So yeah, guys, 7-Eleven. Again, another thing they had to made a deal with, and they just start drinking because they've been walking through the forest for however many hours. And they're just delighted. And this is where the slushy comes in because Alexei just helps himself. And
just
off
off
they go.
in the corner. It's great.
He's excited, but I don't think he gets slushies in Russia. I think that's a uniquely Western thing.
Yes.
And he's really
Soviets
excited.
aren't allowed slushies.
They're too happy. They're too much of a happy drink.
So they
Unhealthy as they may be, they're just ridiculously childish and happy. And Russians don't do that.
No, they don't.
It's not brown or grey enough for Russia to accept as a beverage.
No, it's bright colours. It's always like red or blue. You get the odd yellow or green, but usually red or blue.
Yeah. Of course, they also accept clear. I'm not forgetting vodka here, of course.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Where do you think Hopper's name for him comes from?
Colorless as well as brown and grey. Those are the colors that Russia accepts in its beverages.
Yeah.
And they only accept red if it's like blood of your enemies. I think that's when they accept red. Any other time, no red allowed.
Even then, it probably only counts if it's mixed with vodka.
Probably, yeah. So Hopper commandeers a vehicle.
By commandeer, you mean just steals?
Just steals, yes. He has to explain that Alexei is a dangerous child murderer. And he's like, he's killed lots of children. And he's like, Detective Byers. Yeah, there's my partner here. Yes, we're I was gonna say teleporting. We're transferring. I think it's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think it might be.
We're transferring this dangerous prisoner. She's like, yeah, very dangerous. There's a lot of fraud. Like, child murder. And she's like, child murder. The child murder. He's like, oh, just call the station. What station? Oh, you're doing the right thing here, citizen. And then drives off. Really funny.
The guy just yelling, "What station?"
Yeah. Which later leads to, of course, the Russian Terminator coming by to question the cashier, which he made me want some snowballs. I'm not going to lie. Which again was another product placement, but I'm
not a fan of snowballs.
Not a fan of snowballs. I do like it. I don't have them often. It's not something I have often, but I think that's why when I see a really nice looking one on a screen, I'm like, I've not had a snowball in like ever.
Fair enough.
But I do enjoy a snowball. It's because you do like coconut, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruins it all.
No, I like coconut. So they end up at Bauman's, and I did actually, the biggest laugh I got out of this, outside of his general kind of like being safe and like demanding names and like searching with a metal detector and whatever else, it was actually that at one point it says, "Can you take your lover spat elsewhere?" And they deny that it's a lover spat, and I just couldn't help but laugh because last season his main involvement in the show was when Jonathan and Nancy went to his place and claiming not to be a couple, and then by the time they left the place, they were a couple. So I just if Joyce and Hopper leave here and they're like have kissed or something, I'm just going to say it, like his house is like where you go.
It's got the magic touch.
It's got the magic touch. For some, you wouldn't think it coming from him, but for some reason you go there and all the truth just comes spilling out.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. But
so those journalistic instincts of his.
Oh dear. And that was pretty much the end of this plot, right? There wasn't anything really past this.
No, that was it.
That was it, yeah. So we've left them off there. And we'll get to them. We'll go to the elevator next, I think, with Dustin and Steve and Robin and Erica. Because Erica, of course, because America, you can't spell it without Erica. I'll never forget her name ever because of that line.
You really won't.
Yeah. But now that it's went down, though, the buttons don't work. It's not into a key card down here. So it's like, Dustin's like, we can climb it. There's a hatch on the roof. So they go up the hatch, and it's like, yeah, that's like there's like no ladder, and it's like 100 feet or whatever it is.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot. They're like in the center of the earth, basically, this deep down. And
Erica's there trying to crack open the thing so she can drink it.
Yeah, she wants what I was referring to last episode as the T-virus. And Robin quite rightly says, we have no idea what this is. This might not be something that you can drink.
No. I do appreciate her defense, though, when she's like, look, it's going to get to a point where we're going to die of thirst. So if it's between drinking this and nothing, I mean, she's got a point.
It's been like an hour, and then later on we see it's literally acidic. So, I mean...
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been an hour. It's been overnight, because they slept, right?
Oh, you're right, yeah, because Dustin cracks a joke about how you spent the night with Robin. You're right, it has been overnight.
And Steve's like, oh, yeah, well, it's fine while the kids slept for 8 hours, so...
Yes, we adults were trying to figure out a way out of here, a plan.
Yeah.
And we get a silly little peeing down the wall scene. Can you redirect your stream? Then you just see the line of water. I love imagining like the set like assistant up top just with like a squirty bottle just going like this and just making sure he puts the right amount of movement on it. But 2 Russians come in to collect the goods, and they're hiding up top. And Steve jumps down, uses the canister of liquid to hold the door open for a minute, just enough time for them to all roll out.
For them to Indiana Jones out.
Yeah, and then they see it melts through the floor, and Erica's like, well, dodged a bullet there, didn't I? I like to think Robin and Steve would have been smart enough to say, okay, if you're going to try and drink this, at least let us pour it on something first and see if it does anything. Like, at least...
I mean, sure. But in their defense, it being acid probably wasn't their first thought of what it was.
That's true.
Right, glowing bright green, so it probably should be, but still.
Yeah, because all acid is glowing bright green.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying it has to be, but if something is glowing bright green, my first thoughts are it's some sort of acid or it's radioactive. Like, it's one or the other. In this case, I'm willing to put money on both, frankly.
Very possible. I mean, I was feeling something. I mean, so... which is what we kind of guessed last episode, but we see it later on. We actually see them like loading it into the big drill thing, the laser beam.
Yeah.
But they get walking down this, again, fairly infinite hallway. They're in the secret lab. All this stuff is going on. And I really liked here, like, you know, the theorizing, and it's Robin mainly who says, you know, why come to Hawkins, though, of all places? Okay, so they build this mall as a front just so they can, you know, sneak this stuff in and do all this stuff underneath, but why Hawkins specifically? And I love that Steve and Dustin kind of look at each other and like hold back for a little bit and say, do you think they know? Like, because they know something special about the town that obviously Robin and Erica don't.
They could know.
So it has to be. I mean, why else Hawkins? Like, it's the one unique property of this place.
That they know of, admittedly.
That they know of, yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty unique feature.
I mean, we know by the end of the episode that's why they're here, because that's what they're doing.
It is, yeah. But for them, it's like, okay, it's the one thing they know, so it's of course what they jump to. But there was no guarantee. I mean, other than it being a TV show.
I feel like how many more unique things would be in a town.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's just like, on the one hand, I would say you can cynically say it's because it's a TV show, so it's always going to wrap around to the same thing. But I actually think it's more realistic that there's not like a second supernatural cause in the town that's causing more things. It's just everything kind of traces back to the one.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The one Hellmouth, if you will.
I will not.
Hellmouth, of course.
I genuinely made a point of not saying Hellmouth in the last minute of this conversation, just so you wouldn't be able to pull this shit, and then you go and do it anyway.
The Hellmouth, of course, is a phrase mainly coined by the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They'll support in the comments.
I ain't seen no support.
They'll support. He was not looked hard enough. They'll support there. So, also, second big DC reference of the show, this scene. They're talking about Prometheum, and Robin's apparently also a DC nerd, along with Dustin, because they start talking about how, it's what Vic Stone uses to, you know, put cybernetic parts on his son. And I love how they never even say cyborg, they never even say the character's name, they just drop this trivia.
Yeah. And Erica's like, you nerds.
Yeah. And Steve gets all defensive, oh, I'm not a nerd, don't paint me in with those two. But I like that reference because it's literally a reference that only people who know the character enough would get it. You know? I would go as far to say that even people who've seen the Justice League movie casually probably wouldn't get that reference because they probably just don't remember what his name was.
Probably not.
Yeah, they don't remember Vic Stone.
But who cares if they've seen Justice League or not? Really, where people should know Cyborg from these days is Doom Patrol.
Is Doom Patrol? Yes, of course.
That's just the truth of it.
Of course. But no, fun reference. So they eventually get towards some, populace of the lab, and they're sort of sneaking around to see what looks like a control room for like a radio room.
Maybe the single most implausible scene of the entire show.
That all four of them sneak around and not get seen with all these people walking around.
Like genuinely, this is the thing I've had the hardest believing. Out of all the supernatural stuff, all the other world, fine. This, I don't know. Question it.
Are you saying it bothers you?
I'm saying when I was watching the scene, I was feeling like this was a little bit preposterous.
Well, it is preposterous, but it's the preposterous that's played into the genre it is, if that makes sense. Because
I know,
like I feel this is just as tropey as someone getting knocked out with something and being okay, right? Which we're getting to in a minute, and we never complain about that.
No, I know, but this was so severe, like that. I was genuinely watching this going, because someone's got to spot these bastards.
Well, okay, well, let me defend it this way. They know it's ridiculous, which is why the joke that when they get in the room and turn around, there's a guy just staring right at them is really funny. That's the punchline.
Sure, I'll let it slide.
The joke makes it worth it. It didn't really bother me anyway, because it's just, I'll roll with it. But the guy just like be standing there staring at them when they come in the room. It's like, because they're all hunched over still, and then they turn around, and this guy's just looking at them. And of course, Robin tries to just fire back some Russian words at him that she's learned from the message.
It's just from the phrase. It's like the silver cat feeds
China. Yellow and blue, whatever. And Steve has to tackle him when he goes for his gun, and he actually wins the fight, which Dustin exclaims proudly, "Holy shit, Steve, you won a fight." And Steve's like, "Oh yeah."
That's the best moment of all this. It's just Dustin there going, "Hey, that's work. He finally did it."
And the best part of it though is he goes for his key card, and Erica's like, "No, we came here for the radio." He's like, "No, if I knew he could knock out a Russian, this would have been the plan at the start," which it would have been, because they mentioned, because Steve said, "I'll knock him out, and we'll get his key card." That was the original plan.
It was, but it makes sense. Hey, just get the card, and you go up the lift.
Yeah, go back up the lift the way you came. Easy.
Yeah,
easy peasy.
I mean, you'd have to creep back out, which I don't know, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, the armed guard might be up there now if it's during the day,
Yeah. Oh, I'm not even worried about that. They got to creep back through that room they just got here to.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
But they've got confidence now because they've done it once.
That's true.
And this is when they go up the stairs and they see the scientist actually, there's like an observation room, and we can see the big drill shooting and making the hellmouth in the wall.
Yeah.
So, super fun stuff. I had a blast with all this. I have all season, let's be honest, but this was...
They've probably been my favourite all season.
Yeah. Erica being with them as well is just really neat. And I'll tell you something, just to transition into the other plot, which actually brings Nancy and Jonathan into the kids' story. It brings them together. What I really like about how this is brought together, Nancy's phoning Jonathan over the phone, and naturally, that's typically you phone someone. But she phones him multiple times, make sure he gets up out of bed, and he's like kind of annoyed, like, "What? It's 6 a.m. Blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "I need to speak to your brother." And I love this so much that, like, what she saw from the old woman in the hospital, she immediately recognized what it was. And I think what I like about this season so much is that there's characters who have knowledge from previous seasons. It's actually it's making us move through parts of the plot quicker that would have taken much longer in season one. We're actually getting through things in a way because we have characters who have knowledge, and they're not forgetting that knowledge to for the convenience of because we want to draw this out or whatever. It's like, no, she knows this, so she immediately wants to check on Will. So they go and see the kids who are in her basement. Well, it's still her basement. She still lives there.
Yeah.
And and meanwhile they're debating what to do as well, and spying on Hopper. And again, it has Hopper and Joyce separate because they want to go to the adults. They've made the choice to try and go track down the adults to help them.
Yeah, because obviously it's not like season one where they were on their own. The adults are in on all.
Yeah, but they're like, oh wait, they're in the forest and they're going towards Illinois. That's what she got. So they think they're just on their own now because they're away. And they are still pretty separate. And to be fair to the adults, they don't know the kids are in any trouble right now. They don't know all this other supernatural. All they know is magnets and Russians. They don't know anything about the mind
Joyce
flayer.
does phone, I assume Karen, I can't remember, going, hey, how's Will doing? Is he all right? So she does check in on her son. It's not like she's being terrible.
Yeah. And that's the time because they know the kids will stay over with each other all the time, so it's not like that weird for him to be.
And like I say, it's not like they're aware that the mind flayer's back. They don't think it's that bad yet. They think, just some government stuff, right? And being, Russians with a weird device.
Yeah. They don't know anything what they're looking into has anything to do in any way with the kids right now.
Exactly.
And also, just to add on to her not being a terrible mother, like her other son is an adult and is at the house, so it's not like there's not a supervisor there. So the kids, and there's some more funny stuff, but they're kind of talking about the girls being in the bathroom, which this is the one trope. This is the one trope that comes up in movies and TV. But in terms of gender differences, where I'll throw my hands up and go, you know what, this is just accurate. What do women do in the bathroom? I don't know.
It's true. They have never gone to the bathroom alone.
But it's universal. Like
yeah.
We all see it all the time.
Yeah. It's not a trope if it's reality.
It's true, but it feels like it should be a trope, but it isn't.
It's not. No, it's just a fact of life. They go to the bathroom in packs.
Anyway, so funny stuff there. But Nancy and Jonathan come over, and obviously they share a lot of information that we don't need to hear. We come back in, and they sort of put two and two together. Okay, this thing that you dealt with last night, the sauna thing, happened the same time as the reaction in the hospital. And that leads them to conclude, okay, so two people have been flayed at the same time. And if two people can be flayed at the same time, then there's no reason to think that more than two can't be flayed at the same time. And immediately, Elle goes, wait, Heather. Because she something was happening to her, she was scared, and then she was acting normal as if nothing had happened. So, again, I like that the characters are using the information in reaching conclusions that make sense, that don't feel ridiculous.
They've got enough information to get to that point that it doesn't feel like they're reaching, but there's not too much that it feels like we're having to spend ages for them to learn it and be expositionary.
Yeah, and they do establish here as well that when Eleven went to see Billy that first time, when she used her power, he actually is the one who disappeared in it before she left it. So he actually shielded himself, so she can't just find Billy again. Yeah. They established that rule. So they go over to the house. Heather and her parents' house. Dawn, I think, is the dad's name. And they just basically crime scene it. They go through the house and they put two and two together. Oh, there's a bottle
Nancy
with some blood.
does like detective mode, doesn't she?
Would you call it Nancy Drew-esque?
I would, but I intentionally did not.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's a shitbag who's been calling her that, but this scene is very Nancy Drew-esque, the way she goes through the house and puts things together.
It is a little bit, but she's following along the crimes. Like, and then they went over this way.
Yeah, and they've been drinking chemicals, and Will never did that last year. And that's true, he never did. But obviously things have changed. And then they established that she was tied up because there's rope and taken somewhere. And that's wherever Billy's been, that she's not allowed to see. So, but they do get the idea that if they, they always try and go back to wherever this location is. So,
because that's what the woman was saying, like, let me go back.
So if they go to her and let her go back, they could theoretically follow her. So
it's a reasonable plan.
The big kind of climax of the episode takes place in the hospital. They don't let everyone go up to visit her because two at a time.
2 at a time rule.
Yeah. So that was a neat touch. I had to like actually because they say, "Oh, this is all of her family," and I like that there's a beat and then Lucas goes extended. That was a really nice touch. That he's like, yeah, it doesn't sound that convincing. Me standing here being the only black kid. I think I'm going to try and help it.
I'm going to beef this story up a bit.
Yeah. But the kids just all have to wait around. We'll deal with that first because it's just a fun little, romancy stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
The Kit Kat's not coming to the stupid vending machine with the rings. And we've all dealt with this, I'm sure. Where it just doesn't fall.
A good smack.
It just doesn't fall. And then I knew it was going to be Elle that helps them. I wasn't expecting the entire machine to go flying forward.
Yeah. She needs to learn some finesse.
Yeah. Do you know what my favourite part of this was? Is they look over and she wipes her nose, and then, he picks up something and he goes, "Oh, thanks, Elle," and she just sort of gives him this nod, like, Yeah, of course. It was just
Yeah,
this little
no,
nod,
I
this
got
little
you.
casual nod that I just
Yeah,
really liked. And that was the olive branch. But Mike's hopeless, so he doesn't know what an olive
yeah.
branch is.
No, no, he really doesn't. And I love Lucas just giving him shit at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude.
I felt bad for Will again in smaller ways, but when they're forced to ride in the back of the car, and he's like, "Welcome to my world," and then later on, here Mike comes over, he sings to Elle, and he's like, "Hey, Will, get lost so I can talk to
Yeah,
Elle," and he's like,
yeah,
huh? And he's a sport about it. Don't get me wrong, he doesn't whine, but I was like, yeah, that's him being ditched again.
yeah. He's definitely fifth wheeling here.
Yeah, he is. Um, so he cracks a joke about them being
Do
different
you know,
species. Oh.
on that note, on Will, I think they need it. Could see where this ends. Don't get me wrong, but they need to find something for him to do next season
Mm-hmm.
because I think they need to throw him in with a different group because it does feel like he's just the odd one out with the couples here at the minute.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but his character is dealing with that, and it's affected him. So at least it's something that's actually
It
triggering a
is, but
character thing in the story.
he's having very little to actually do or little character moments to really enjoy. Like I say he is growing a bit, but he's not having any back and forth with anyone really.
He's the monster sensor.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, like I feel like if you threw him, even like with the other group of with like Dustin and that, at least there he wouldn't feel like an extra just there. He would kind of that group's a bit more superfluous anyway.
Unless Erica and Dustin spark a romance, in which case he will be a
No,
fifth wheel in that
no,
too.
no. Dustin's got Susie.
Yeah, Susie, Phoebe Cates,
Yeah,
adjacent, yes.
exactly. I can't wait till we see Susie.
She's gonna come out of a limo in the last episode.
It's definitely happening.
Just you watch. Just
I'm
you watch.
convinced. The more we go on, the more convinced I become.
So yeah, so the couple of little moments with them, but the real main event is the horror stuff with Nancy and Jonathan when Dawn shows up and tries to attack them, and then of course the Busey shows up and also tries to
Yeah.
attack them.
Don't even bother trying to learn his name.
No, he's just Busey. He's the
Yeah.
the Busey of the show. He's like, "I'm here for you, Nancy Drew," and he's like, coming at her. And this again, it's kind of similar to me. Like the last episode, the kids got to be in peril with Billy. I felt like this episode it was Nancy and Jonathan who got to be in like serious peril to the point where, because I was questioning like, can they be healed and therefore should we not kill them? But to save themselves, they kind of have to. Like they just outright have to kill them.
They do, yeah.
So it gets pretty dark.
And we learn a little bit more. Last episode we were speculating about what was going on with the old woman when Billy was being attacked.
Oh yeah.
I speculate maybe he was draining some power. It seems more just they all feel the same thing. They all are the mind flayer at the same time.
Because once they get separated here, because at first it's just the one, and Jonathan gets badly hurt, that kind of fighting him, and Nancy kind of has to save him a little bit. So it feels very desperate. It feels like they're really just struggling to just barely survive, which is nice. But then the other one shows up, and it becomes like they're separated. They're each got their own to fight, and Nancy hits Busey in the face with the fire extinguisher, and it's right at that moment where Dom was going to kill Jonathan, but he like gets hit in the face essentially.
Yeah, because I was actually really wondering because it was building up to that, and I was like, are they going to kill him? But like it's usually that scene where okay, he's going to get saved at the last second, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, where's the other person coming from? I couldn't figure it out. But obviously, the hit to one affected the other, so it worked out nicely.
Yeah, it was a really good moment of establishing this rule and told us it in a really nice way. Because yeah, obviously I could have seen 11 like just popping up behind them and like saving the day.
Yeah, well, typically yes, but given where we just cut back to them kind of dicking around in the waiting room with M&Ms.
Yeah, I figured because the lights all started flickering and stuff. I was wondering if that alerted them maybe or something like.
It could have done, yeah. Like it's not implausible, but
Yeah.
like I say, it's a relatively big building, and they wouldn't have known exactly where they were. So I would have really questioned it if that had happened.
Yeah. That's actually the neat thing about Eleven's power to find people is she can't just do it quickly. They have to kind of set it up because I was going to say she could just see where Nancy is in her head, but it doesn't work. They'd have to like find a quiet place. They'd have to put the blindfold on. Like it's a whole little process. They can't just do it in the blink of an eye, which is kind of nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so they actually pop and melt like the rats did, and
yeah, it looks good.
It was great. It was really dark and gruesome for the show's standards, and then
the
all
two of them slime to each other.
Yeah, they slide because they're basically at either end of a hallway right now, and Jonathan and Nancy both come out of their respective rooms, and they can kind of see each other just as the lights are flickering on and off at either end.
Yeah.
But the two mushies of like just puddles of goo just come together, mesh, and they start to like form. And this is, when I was comparing to the Thing, this felt really the Thing like.
It did, yeah.
But the lights keep going out, and you're not really sure what it's forming exactly. And then when the light comes back on for the last moment, you see it looks like a mini, mind flare essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
it's like because we saw the version in the basement.
Yeah.
At the end of, I think it was last episode. This looked like a smaller version of that. Like, okay, it didn't have as many bodies to work with.
But yeah, so you end the episode and like they're both in this hallway with this giant monster. The kids are also in the hospital somewhere, so I have to imagine the opening of episode 6 is going to be fairly action packed.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Based on this, assuming it's the first scene.
6 is a longer episode.
Is it? No.
About 10 minutes longer. They did have a lot. I think they've been averaging about 50 minutes.
Yeah.
The next one's a full hour.
Okay. I'm pleased by that. I'll take a full hour.
I think the last one's like an hour 15.
Yeah. Number 8, yeah. But that's episode 5. Hard to really fault much in it right now, except Connor being upset of some sneaking being a little bit too convenient.
Yeah, no, I was. It bothered me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad to see Nancy and Jonathan folded in with others. I think they've been fine, but they've easily been the dullest area of the season for me.
Yeah, again, going back to like me saying I like that the characters have this knowledge. I like that they almost converge quicker this season because they have the knowledge. They know that there's others that know about this stuff, and they're going to help each other. We're not artificially keeping them separate. As soon as she was aware this is something that could tie into the kids, it was like, okay, we're going to go meet up with the kids and do that.
But I think they play better folded in with the group rather than just on their own, for me anyway.
Yeah, and I think next episode, based on the image on the Netflix app that ended, it seems like Dustin's group will converge with them next episode. So
that makes sense, because obviously they've seen this now and they're like, shit, we're going to have to get everyone in.
Yeah, it's all hands on deck, yeah. Or code red, as Dustin likes to say. I did actually kind of like him on top of the elevator just trying to like call people, and you're like, Dustin, you're like a male underground, this is not going to work.
Yeah, no, it's true. But in their defense, they do know already that somewhere in this base they can communicate from, because he's picked up the signal.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously later on, when the radio pops into life, they're like, okay, now we're in range of something. They're broadcasting from there. We know we can send a signal. So I mean, there's a logic to his plan.
Here's some other logic for you though. If the other thing that's in range to send a signal, they could also be in range to hear the signal and hear this Mayday message.
Yep.
Which would not go well for them, I don't think.
No, I guess they're just hoping that they're not on that frequency.
It's a bit of a gamble, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
go for it. All right, there you go. That's episode 5 of Stranger Things season 3. We'll be back, but day after tomorrow with episode 6. So look forward to that. If you want to support us, support the show and everything we do here, you can do that on Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. We can support us for as little as $1 per month. You get some stuff early, you get some exclusives. But you can do that. You can also, of course, comment and let us know what you think of the episode, like and subscribe, all those other things you can do on YouTube. Rate us on the podcast app, the Netflix reviews audio feed. You can do that on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast app you use. And then all that gets on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. And of course, check out other content that we do. Other shows we're reviewing, other movies that we're reviewing, which is happening on a pretty regular basis. That's us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?